A teenager learning about something that really her town tried to cover up years ago. She wasn't having it. Studying for a driver's license, this Indiana teen said, you know what? I've learned about these black men who were lynched years ago, and they deserve to have a monument. They deserve to be honored. Her name is Sophie Kloppenburg. She is 17 years old, an activist of Mount Vernon, Indiana. She helped give 7 black men who were victims of the state's largest recorded lynching a memorial 144 years later. Kloppenburg learned about the lynching while practicing for a driver's license when she and a family friend were talking about Mount Vernon's history. Kloppenburg was stunned to learn her hometown possessed such a dark racial history that resulted in such a large-scale lynching. Details of the historical incident: October 1878, a vigilante white mob killed 7 black men over the span of 3 days. Brothers Daniel and John Harrison, their father Daniel Harrison Sr., Jim Good, William Chambers, Edward Warner, and Jeff Hopkins were the victims of the lynching. The mob chased the 2 Harrison brothers from their homes, and their gruesome fates included being burned to death in the firebox of a steam locomotive and being shot to death and then stuffed into the hollow trunk of a tree. Brother's father, Daniel Harrison, was arrested and later kidnapped from his jail cell by a white mob and mutilated. The remaining black men, Good, Chambers, Warner, Hopkins, were taken from the jail, hanged in front of the Posey County Courthouse after being accused of raping 3 white prostitutes. Not one mob member was indicted or faced any prosecution for killing the black men. Kloppenburg was moved by the story. When she learned no mention of the lynchings could be found at the courthouse, she wanted to recognize them with a memorial. High school senior lives in a small city. It's 90% white, and discussions on race are few and far between. They buried it. 17-year-old met with resistance, as many within the predominantly white community, including its leaders, had little to no desire to recognize the men or even acknowledge its racist past. Her persistence, however, paid off with this formal historical marker. Now sitting at the very location, some of the men were lynched outside the courthouse. Took 5 different occasions of appealing to Posey County commissioners, but they eventually agreed to Kloppenburg's memorial project. With the help of the Evansville African American Museum and other supporters, Kloppenburg was able to raise the $13,500 needed for the marker and this bench, both of which rest on the southeast corner of the courthouse. Despite the commission's overall support, Kloppenburg said she had to reluctantly make some concessions to move the memorial project forward. I had to take out, to me, really important words like lynched or mobbed. But I couldn't use those really important words because it made people too uncomfortable. Are you kidding me? She continued, they also wanted me not to include the word African American in there, and I was like, absolutely not. What's the point of us putting this up there if people don't know this was a racially motivated murder? Even a 17-year-old knows that. Although the 17-year-old plans to attend Columbia University next year, she says in the meantime, she plans to continue working with the University of Southern Indiana on a curriculum to teach future generations about Posey County, Indiana's history on race and black men lynched. Okay, there's so much to unpack here. I think that America is great at something. America's perfect at this one thing. We're not perfect at anything else, but we're perfect at rewriting history. We're perfect about not telling the truth about history. Take out the words lynching, okay? You better not put that, okay? You better not put that. Lynched or mobbed. Then they wanted to take out the thing about black people. What was it gonna say? Some people ended up dead 144 years ago, Jeff?
So yeah, so they want to take out what happened to these men and who the men were. So yeah, again, what else was going to be included. But shout out to the book or the paper she read to gain this information. In the description of it, it says the paper described the lynch mob as consisting of 200 to 300 of the county's, quote, best men. Then the newspaper editor, who had been an eyewitness to the murders on the campus of the Posey County Courthouse, called for the, quote, dark pall of oblivion to cover the crimes. Wow. Look, Gen Z never ceases to amaze me. And I can only imagine of what Sophie Kloppenburg will do once she gets to Columbia University.
Yeah.
She's on to bigger and better things. This is incredible. Now, as far as the markers and the memorials there, I can only hope that those things are made bulletproof, because we've seen what happened to Emmett Till's memorial and his marker as well. They had to replace the original one because the first one kept getting shot by bullets. That's where they are. So Sharon, you nailed it. They are perfect at covering up real, true history, the facts. Didn't want the facts. Which, by the way, like, why are they trying to cover it up? Like, does it describe you?
Right, that
talking
part is
about
what
the
I wanted
200-300. Yeah.
So
talking about the two. Go ahead.
No, because here's the thing. If it makes you uncomfortable, you do need to examine why. Were you there? Because I know a lot of people who harbor racist feelings who say, I don't want to talk about that I'm not my forefathers. Why should we have to pay for the sins of our, all that nonsense. So if you believe that is not who you are, it's not a fiber in you that believes in this kind of nonsense and racism, why would that make me uncomfortable? Okay.
What?
I don't abuse animals, okay? And so when I learn about it, I don't like to see it, but why does that have anything to do with, why wouldn't I want it noted and brought forth and people, honored who did nothing but die in disgusting ways and were mutilated by racists?
I don't know about you, but when I read this story and several different articles about it, I kept going back to CRT and how people don't want CRT taught to K through 12 students, even though it's not. And they always go back to, well, slavery. I don't want these kids to feel bad about slavery. And it's like, well, why would their brain go with the enslaver instead of with the abolitionist? What's going on here? They could be on the positive side and say,
wow,
well, I'm not them. I would have let those people go. I wouldn't have done this whatsoever. What are you feeling guilty about? And so, Sharon, I think part of the cover up is, especially if it's a small town, I'm not trying to make fun of rural parts of the country, but do they know it's talking about their specific forefathers? Like, that individual was my great grandfather. I know that. And that's part of the cover up. Like, that's where the guilt comes from. And this is awful, but I'm glad they made it this far.
Yeah, I am too. And I wish Sophie all the luck. Columbia, I hope she also takes a few courses at NYU. Yesterday on the show, I said, I'm done with these black trauma movies, but I'd like to see her and this town make a film about it, okay? And then there's nothing they can do, okay? Put it on Netflix and make it soar.